Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Project Positive Planet. I'm thrilled today to be talking with David Erlich, Cary and Kim Collier about the advancement of wellness, spa concepts of the future. Welcome all.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Yeah. Do you all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves and just a brief introduction?
Sure.
Collier first.
Collier, and we are Collier Concepts and Blue Spas, Kim, JAMU.
Oh.
So we've been in the spa business. We met at a spa. I apologize for our phone ringing in the background. We thought we had them all killed, but we actually met at a spa back in 1986. The spa at the Crescent was with Rosewood at the time, Hotel Crescent Court in Dallas. Got my first massage, and we've been working together ever since.
That's right. We had cross training with Rosewood Hotels, and that's where we met and pre-opening, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
30 years later, and happy to be here today with all of you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you all. And Mr. Erlich?
Hi, David Erlich. I'm co-general manager with Amrit Resort and Residences in Singer Island, Palm Beach, Florida, and I've been in the industry about 30 years now. Long, storied, fun career in hospitality, lots of rooms division management with Hyatt Hotels and Resorts, Ritz-Carlton, and then Fairmont, Raffles International. About 20 years in spa specifically now. So worked all over the globe, and it's been quite a good journey. So hopefully we have some input that'll be of some value to anyone that cares to listen.
You look so young to have done all that by age 30.
33.
Great. Well, thank you to everybody if you're rejoining us. We had some technical difficulties last week. We were able to record most of what we discussed, and that's available on wellworld.tv YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about hopefully moving into phase 2 sooner rather than later. So the first question I have is sanitation. How important is sanitation play in the future, and are we developing concepts around this and SOPs and language to go out to our guests?
Go ahead, David.
Sorry about that. I was trying to say refer to you, but
Where's the?
no, that's a great question. And yes, sanitation, I think you're going to see the industry as a whole. Obviously, there's going to be modifications in what you see and experience in the spa world. I think there'll be varying degrees of that. SOPs are a big subject now. Everyone is scrambling for updating standard operating procedures. It's one of my least favorite and most annoying acronyms in the industry, but it's one of those things that we are critical for the success of any solid spa and fitness and wellness operation. There are good resources, as you know. There are numerous associations that you can be members of that are working on it and assisting in many ways in drafting qualified templates with quality content on them. There's a lot of industry professionals out there now, many of our colleagues that are working tirelessly on updates for operations. What I know we're going to see with Amrit will be additional cleanliness and sanitation specifics. We're looking at one of the more critical challenges will be the treatment room facility turn time. I think we're going to see additional steps taken to ensure that you as a customer have the confidence that that room has been treated and sterilized, especially face cradle, the massage bed, not just salon, manicure, and pedicure. There'll be other updated hygiene and cleanliness standard expectations that'll be adopted. What those specifically, beyond what I just mentioned, are, we'll see. Hopefully, health department regulations and any codes will be commensurate with what can be accomplished successfully without too much unreasonable burden on an operation. Big spas have a little more flexibility. Smaller mom and pop operations will have a little more challenge with meeting code specifics. So just my opinion, that's what you've asked. But I know that from a resort standpoint, from luxury, larger operation, that's going to be one of the biggest focuses that we target standard operating procedures with, is how do we clean. We already do a great job in the industry. It's already very safe and they're very sterile, but one of my pet peeves is face cradles, and that's already one of those that makes you uncomfortable about putting, no matter what you do with coverings. Now we're talking about droplets and a virus that can live on a surface for an undetermined period of time or debatable periods of time, and different textures and types, leathers, plastics, so we have a lot to determine still. You want to make sure that the chemicals you're cleaning with are safe, but also not toxic. And that if you're going to be breathing these, there'll be a lot to come. I think in the next 60 days, we'll see a lot of evolution in what's available SOP wise. I've already spoken with a few of our vendor suppliers on the cleaning tools and the back bar products, and all of our amazing vendors out there that supply us with these products. And they've already got some new innovations coming. So look for that. And I'll shut up now because I'm rambling.
I was going to have a follow-up question, David. Are you going to be using disposable headrest covers, you think, or?
We haven't determined that. We're hoping from a luxury standpoint that we won't have to, that there will be a way to process through that, find something innovative that we can do in our laundry standards that we can maintain, something luxe that allows us to, obviously it'll be a fresh, clean, brand new face cradle cover in between as normal, but I would like to come up with a way that we can not only clean the cradle and every part of the table that comes into contact with human, period, but as most of us do by draping the beds with linen and terry, it's almost never touched except by the hand of the technician or therapist. So we're going to have to look at every single touch point on every surface area in every treatment space and service space, hair, nail, body specific. So we don't all have the answers to that exactly, but I already know that we're looking to increase some turn times on rooms, and that affects yield management for some operations. So some operators look at, say, I'm going to get a reduced amount of services, if you change the turn time on rooms. But if you need to do that to meet standards and give your customer the confidence in between to add an additional 15 minutes on top of the 15 you already do, so be it. Whatever the case is, these are just my hypothetical assumptions.
And will we be charging more, you think, because of the extended amount of time it's going to take to turn a room?
I personally do not intend to adopt that. I tend to stay with the fair market pricing assumptions. If you're luxe, you're charging a premium. If you have the facilities and services commensurate with that, then charge accordingly to your market. But I don't intend economically, I would not do any additional price adjustments. If we have to bear the cost of maintaining, sterilization standards and health regulation standards, that's the cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Cary and Kim? Can't hear you.
You're muted.
You're muted. Everyday life now.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone, on this Thursday. Where are we? The 16th of April, 2020. The year we'll never forget. The guest experience, David, to further the SOP, I can see the guest arrival to build the guest confidence in the experience at the spa. I can see the complete treatment tray being presented with the sanitization and the pre-sealed food, drink, whatever the experience may be. I can foresee the guest feeling very confident to receive their whole experience upon arrival, and they become part of the sanitization process. So they have their own gloves, a fabulous mask with your logo on it, private label sanitizer that they take into their life that continues the connection with your healing retreat, spa, service, hotel. But I would feel as a consumer and giving our consumers confidence that they're carrying the pre-packaged spa kit that they will have from start to finish. That may be a thing. So they're taking
that
their
idea.
products. But now we have to think environmental and think future forward. If these are single-use offerings, we're going to need biodegradable plastic coverings. We're going to need ways to seal a product so they arrive from our vendors pre-sealed, pre-portioned, drinks, scrubs, oils. I can see this becoming a way to build confidence, maintain sanitization, and have the guests become more involved in what we'll be experiencing as wellness rises to the surface globally in radical self-care and radical sanitization.
And perhaps it's an arrival kit at the hotel if you're residential.
Yes.
When you first arrive, part of the check-in process.
Absolutely.
Very good. Cary, anything to add?
Well, as a consulting company, whether we're planning, designing projects, or doing it on the business side, but on the operations side, we are starting to look for, what type of sanitation, disinfection type experts are out there. And I think for everyone, something that is more local is going to be, much better. So therefore, whether you're hiring a sanitation team for either as a consultant or help to do some any training, handover, that type of thing, I think will be useful. And I also have been thinking that the staggering of the schedule, just thinking about capacity, right? So I think we have to pay more attention to. It's surprising, at least for us, looking at spas when you start talking about capacity with a lot of spas. And to define that, what I mean is that how many people can your facility accommodate at one time? Reasonably, a comfortable capacity. Forget code or counting lockers, but it's what is comfortable. So that means in the locker rooms, lounges, wet areas, treatment rooms, and so on, plus outdoor areas if you have them. So by doing that, one example, and maybe go back to maybe considered old school, but it's using a locker map. So you understand in your locker room, you have a map of the locker room, and you're actually assigning every 6 feet, 36 feet, using a clear box on the corners. That's how you're doing the math and doing the calculation. So, therefore, you're able to figure whether how many people can be in a sauna, in a vitality pool, in a lounge, and so on. You stagger your scheduling accordingly. If you have that equates to the capacity and the math for some reason. Very central enough. But that's the idea. That's something that we feel is talking to some others seems to be something that's at least as an operational plan for hopefully a short-term period, hopefully not up to a year, but that may have to be implemented.
To enter?
No. No turnstiles, no numbers, hopefully no.
Good.
I definitely like the staggering of times. I think that's going to be a huge, it's already used effectively in many, a lot of great spas are already on that rotation of 15-minute increments where you're staggering the arrival patterns on the quarter hour, the half hour, and a quarter till. You're going to have to, if they're not doing it currently, I would recommend getting into a more consistent rotation. So you're having, not only is it a better flow experience for your customer, but it is definitely a much more comfortable system for your business and your practice. Cary's point, absolutely, it's more rhythmic, and I know we're going to be adopting some measures where we may have gone into a different direction on the yield management side of it, but at the end of the day, the quarter hour is going to be the way to go.
Absolutely. And that we have to convince as a co-GM, we have to convince the GMs about the revenue loss as well, I guess, is something to look at. We're not making any revenue right now, but.
Yeah, the spa director, is going to make a case. It's good, being GM for this particular option. Me and the director are in lockstep, so we understand it philosophically. Nobody's pressuring from the top down to say you got to turn more volume. It happens in every operation, resort-wise, independent operator. I mean, consulting, you work with so many different clients in all spectrums. So the pressure to have additional top-line revenue is always there, but I don't think anyone is going to argue that you should compromise a standard in some way, or an SOP, or a sterilization formula, anything to drive revenue. I don't think that's. I would assume and hope that that's not the case, but sometimes you're going to have discussions periodically and make your point to whomever it is that you're accounting to explain why your cost of any cost of sales has gone up, or any back bar, or any operating expense has gone up for whatever measures you're taking. Private label kits and as Kim mentioned, those will have a cost associated with them. Those are amazing, but yeah, there's an associated cost to bring that to market and to do it, and produce it. So that cost will have to be bundled into the treatment experience. Do you gross it up? Do you charge a premium? I mean, at the end of the day, if it's $4 a treatment and it goes up by $5, that whatever the case is, you're going to have to figure a way to absorb it. But some business is better than no business. So we're going to have to ramp back up, and it's going to be a challenge, because the other point is that this is counterintuitive to everything nurturing and loving and affectionate and healing that we're about in the healing wellness industry. So touch is everything, and we're talking about minimizing touch and minimizing space. Well, it can be accomplished, and you can still provide love and nurturing and an amazing treatment experience. But if it requires a face mask and gloves to be worn, that may be the new norm. It may be one that we adopt for a period of time. It may be, I don't have a crystal ball for the industry to see where it's going to go, but I can tell you I could see that happening, not just in manicures and pedicures consistently if they aren't already happening, but I could see it definitely happening in massage and facial and body across the board. Some guests may not, they may not like the glove approach. They want, they want to be touched. They want hands on the body. That's the nurturing component of it. Mm-hmm. But it may be that we have to operate with that different standard.
Or there is a glove on, glove off option in your service menu, and the price difference is there. Does that become spa of the future? Does that become a choice? Mm-hmm. And practitioners willing to do certain services with or without gloves, the price will change.
Something to consider. I'm going to address a few of the comments. Jennifer Wayland Smith, yes, Kim, we need all this to go back to single-use items. All of the work we have been doing to be more sustainable is going out the window.
Absolutely, Jennifer.
Well, that's a great point, and definitely that's not the direction that ultimately that any of us want to go. But I also believe, and I said this last week, that from conversations that we're hearing, and just from perhaps living long enough on this planet and been through some, the good, bad, and the ugly, is that times like this, where this is unique, it's new for all of us every bloody day, but that it's going to create some ingenuity, I believe, in how we go about, packaging, the way that we're using bags or parcels to give things to guests or transport between staff to staff, staff to guests, and so on. And that may need to have been improved anyway. Mm-hmm. But I think this whole pause, I'll call it, there's the awful, but there's also the beautiful in it. And ideally on the packaging side, that on the sustainability side, the resiliency side, resiliency design, I believe is going to blossom. That's where I think that a big opportunity is. So I honor the comment, and I think that needs to be our North Star, this is keeping everything as sustainable as we can, moving forward, and not creating a whole bunch of new plastic awful shit, pardon me, that we don't need to deal with.
I'm sorry.
I had an outburst. I'm sorry.
And what does that look like, Cary, back a house, do you think?
Oh, wow.
Great
We're going to
question.
move and
Let me see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that, at least for our team, and discussing it has been, I'll say, the most interesting to talk about. And David can probably, speak, better to this than I can. But it is, I don't know, it's a longer, if I can condense this down, but it is, we're trying to look at examples of how some clean room operations are operating. And not to go too clinical, but we don't have any other models. I mean, that's how my mind thinks is, if we don't have a model, then we have to create a model. But starting with trying to look at, what is working and what is not, and what can we draw from that to bring into hospitality. I mean, for anyone that has worked in operations, going back a house can either be really spooky and scary, or it's really done well.
The long corridors.
So it's I don't know if I don't have an answer for it yet. I do think, we're looking at from the WHO down and others that are trying to draw from to create a model. And I think there's some great people in our industry that can help with that. Go ahead. Save me, please.
Sure. Well, and to further that, yes, in our industry, and we're also going to see the amalgamation of industries coming together more than ever. Bringing in scientists, bringing in well-researched energy systems, for example. This is one that comes to mind, and we talk about this a bit tomorrow in planet-based healing. Maybe the back of house is decreased, and the fresh prep, specific for spa treatments and food and beverage, it's right there and grown in the room where you're dining. And we go to more fresh foods, energy efficient food energy systems where we're somewhat eliminating the back of house and going to direct to nature experiences without the packaging. Does that make sense? We're really in hypothetically a bubble or a greenhouse situation that is energy efficient, growing the food we'll be using for in dining and nourishing our bodies and souls, but those same plants and botanicals would then be fresh prep for services. And we get back to nature more quickly, efficiently, with the integration of science, agriculture, sustainability, health, wellness. I would just like to share a resource for inspiration specific to yesterday's Global Wellness Institute. Every Wednesday, they're having a wellness mastermind. Tune in, 9:30 Eastern Time, link through Global Wellness Institute. Yesterday was Martin Palmer, a theologian who's an advisor to WHO, that Cary mentioned, as well as all religions, all sects, many different businesses, and their foundation in faith and nature. And this is what Martin shared. He said, we all will need and we will thrive when we deliver wellness, security, economics, and environmental conservation. How do we do that? Spa wellness industry, I think we're on that verge. Moving forward, future.
Love it. Another comment about UV from Hamid, UV sterilizing lights, UV combo, HEPA air filters, and mobile key and payment systems will be key.
Yes. Yep. Spot on.
Right.
Well said. Thank you. Yep. That's on the list for sure. And so I think, again, as part as ingenuity in some of the the entrepreneurial, entrepreneurial things that we're hearing about anyway. I mean, it's on the good side of the ledger compared to some of the awful stuff that is going. So the attention for hospitality from the top down, for dialing into, these type of companies, like, for example, take a look at abatement.com. They're on the front lines, and so their equipment, their offerings, training and on-site setup, things like that. I mean, they're on the firing line. So they've got equipment and training and so on aspects of that. And there's other companies too. But I think we have to turn ahead toward these type of companies to learn And of course, now it was what we know with the virus, right? We really don't know much.
Mm-hmm.
Over the next months, I think it's going to at least we're starting now to get ready for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, believing that we will learn what we need to learn in order to plan accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Marilla asked, are we going to ask our spa guests to shower before the massage?
Thank you. Yes, please, from a massage therapist. That's always wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, and we even, we were talking about this yesterday, and our oldest daughter, Sierra, works at a spa and salon in Bozeman, Montana.
She's a cosmetologist.
Yeah, so they were talking about it. And so we were discussing an idea from, do we go, which in Asia is more common probably, but taking shoes off and how you handle, how you bag those shoes, and if they put on a slipper or some sandals, something like that, to wear throughout their stay. More hand washing, hand sanitation,
body washing,
but then of course taking a shower before a treatment seems to make a lot of sense.
What about before a hair service or a manicure pedicure?
And what about the locker?
And what about the locker?
In the club. Well, see, it is a domino effect. I can see David laugh. I know that, and everyone probably, most people listening are thinking, yeah, you have to look at every step.
Touch point.
Every step.
Yeah, I do. It's requiring cleansing before getting on any technician's table, or it's always been a personal preference of mine. Operationally, I've always wanted to make sure that guests are required to bathe before getting on a table. It's harder to do in a smaller operation, but resort-wise, with extensive hydrotherapy circuit, and it's inclusive with the experience, and it's when you arrive, strongly encouraging the guests to go change, shower, prep the body for the services to receive. I mean, now we have an additional reason to validate why they need to come early and take care and clean. It seems like it would be intuitive to automatically default to doing that you would want to. It'd be human nature. Not always. We want to rush in straight off the street and change in the room, and I'm not a fan of that. Never have been, and I discourage it no matter whether you have one treatment room or 100. So if you have the shower facilities to do it, encourage it. And we absolutely will. The other point I wanted to make, we also will be working extensively in the wellness side with a number of medical practitioners that are credentialed and partnering with us. So a lot of these, I noticed in the comments, a lot of the practices that we're going to explore in the SOPs, the sterilization and cleanliness practices, yes, the medical approach to it, anything consulting with the doctors that we work with, the nurses on staff, we're going to make sure that we're virtually hospital sterilization as best that we possibly can. So there's a great company out there that does, some of you are familiar with them in the hospitality industry, that does a fogging treatment basically on the hotel room side. And they do charge a premium for those rooms. And in Hilton's, Marriott's, a company called Pure Wellness, I think we mentioned them last time, they can treat facilities. They have an amazing patented product. I don't know if we're going to be using them specifically, but we have a couple of other options. But they're one of the better ones that I've seen that had amazing technology for treating guest rooms basically once a quarter or so. And it has an antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral molecular layer that can go on surfaces that doesn't, that lasts for an extensive period of time. It's pretty cool. Check them out, Pure Wellness. It's they also have the air filtration systems that you can integrate into HVAC for virus, antiviral, ultraviolet sterilization as well. There's a couple of different ones out there. RFG manufacturing we talked about last time, industrial and commercial for antiviral and antimicrobial. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah,
and I believe, and it may exist, which I hope it does. Whether you like sci-fi movies or just looking on some of the news stations where you're seeing sort of doctors and so on, frontline people going through disinfecting stations. So call it a portal
Mhm.
to where whether you're entering a spa facility, for example, you're entering a spa facility, and so you would go through this disinfecting portal.
Mhm.
I mean, what it looks like now is, it is something from a scary sci-fi movie mostly, but I think that something like that
Mhm.
over time that will, for example, fit in a luxury type of facility.
Only luxury, or would it
Well,
be upon entering?
you're right. It needs to be more accessible. Thank you.
Here's
You would have those type of disinfecting portals, call it, throughout your facility, and it's not invasive. It's just something that will help to, it's a zap to get you disinfected, and maybe it grows hair. That would be good.
Shifting gears a little bit, Antonio had a great comment. We need to rethink tourism, specifically tourism focused on different quality, of which wellness and well-being tourism is an example. This strategy is aimed not only at the business economic interests, but at the work of social responsibility and the improvement of tourism, a common good for all. And I know that's one of the things we look at in our concepts, Cary, is always social good, connecting with the destination and the environment. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great comment.
Mhm.
I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, I do, and there's great companies out there that are doing that. And no offense to anyone, one that just pops to mind is, even from the origin of Six Senses,
Mhm.
and what they're doing now, and how I know from our experience living in Bali and working around Bali back during the 90s, is that it's the realization that, same thing,
Mhm.
to honor what is local and
Mhm.
learn from that, and to build on that, give good to the community, whether it's in schools or women's groups, starting this or that, supporting fishermen that are out there, helping
right.
to stop what may be done to coral, or taking water, seawater,
Mhm.
purifying water, and on and on and on.
Absolutely. To add to that, and what a great comment that came to mind. Thinking about this webinar as well. Local will become that much more important. How are we supporting those businesses and those communities around us? For example, see if this sticks, creating a spa package that also has connection to other businesses in the community. So maybe they're on your property, maybe they're going out to a little savings on a cafe or a connection to a little retail store, building that local connection and economy. But at the same time, how will we be giving back with every spa treatment or retail purchase? What's our social responsibility? Mm-hmm. How will we contribute with that? And to further the question, to add on to tourism, I was just reading today on Forbes.com. They're great if you have a chance to take their newsletters. Forbes.com. They were talking about two things related to travel. Emirates Airlines now, you have a quick test for COVID before getting on the airplane. They're doing a quick test before you even get on the plane. Very smart. Very great. Science, technology, safety. The other airline, United Airlines, reported in their revenue 97% decrease in flights, obviously, in their decrease in revenue. In the month of May, they will be flying in 1 month the number of flights they flew in 1 day. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to be traveling as much. We are supporting local, diving into supporting our community. Again, food security, wellness, bringing in socioeconomic support for where you live, and taking care of the environment where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
David, did you have something?
Well, on a different note, I was going to discuss one of the, you're going to see an emphasis on immune system boosting services and after this, which it's always been a hot topic for not just spa and from a nutritional standpoint, but when you get into destination wellness, nutritional IVs have become quite popular now in just about all geographic regions. So we will have an nutritional IV lab within Amrit Wellness. And, but now the shift in focus, we're going to put a lot of time into researching the right mix of high dose vitamin C, along with all the other amazing nutrients that are proving to be beneficial in anything beneficial against COVID. So if you can come into a membership component or come in as a day guest or as a resident and nutritional lab participate right there at your residence or at your wellness area and come in for intravenous therapy. You're going to see a lot more of that booming in the day spa market. I would assume. Obviously, it's a very responsible thing to do and has to be done, to standard with. Does it technically have to have medical supervision at this point? Well, it does, because you need a phlebotomist RN or greater to do it. But we're seeing a lot of push on the nutritional IV with high dose vitamin C. So.
Very good.
And it'll bundle in with our plant-based nutritional program as well. So
Yes.
we'll tie in the IV.
What happened this week that we're eating less meat? Wasn't there, forgive me, quick news flash, the meat factory that closed down because all employees tested positive for COVID? They're not sure if it was them passing it between each other or possibly through the meat they were processing. But yay, back to your point, plants.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, part of the solution.
Speaking of nature, Michelle has a comment. We always forget the antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial properties of the botanical world. My hope is this experience brings nature more inside and all around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I agree.
Plant-based healing, that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on steam rooms for sanitation?
Will we be wearing a mask in steam rooms? It's worth considering.
Well, what we don't know, and David, please help me here, but some initial reports that we've heard is that whether it's a sauna, steam, and that the heat is not friendly to the virus. So there was, in the early days, it was stick with dry heat versus wet, so therefore steam was bad, but I can't remember where we read this, but it was the sauna, steam, even a hot pool would be okay. I mean, it doesn't give you too distancing on how many people can actually be in the room, but
everything we've seen, all the research that's come up so far on the media and that we've seen. Again, we'll make sure that we're spot on before, at least I recommend anyone before you adopt any particular standard operating procedures that you vet it thoroughly. But all research said that over 28 degrees Celsius, the virus can't live. So, that's in Fahrenheit, what is that, 78, something like that. So, anything warm, it doesn't survive. So. But that'll have to be verified scientifically and vetted, but just make sure you double check on that. But yeah, Cary's right. According to that, then steam rooms and saunas would be far too warm for any virus to exist. And I don't know about, what standards we need to change or adopt. Obviously, cleanliness and touch points in all those spaces would need to be addressed. But as far as it thriving airborne and on a surface in there, science says it can't, not in those spaces.
Right.
What about air conditioning in treatment rooms?
Well, that's going to be part of essential HVAC that we intend to, have sanitized, and I suggest you explore, as I said, everything from pure wellness to treat these rooms like hotel rooms to HVAC system sterilizations. There's a couple of different ones. Pure Wellness does it. Delos does it. From the room side of the property, they have the entire Darwin technology for smart technology controls for air quality control for residents or hotel to explore. But treatment rooms specifically, we could adopt the same thing in there. I don't think the industry's done it typically because they were considered facial and body rooms. They weren't necessarily treated as hotel rooms as far as the HVAC technology. Clean air, but just not needing all the the fancy bells and whistles on the thermostats. We may see a change in that now. You may see air quality analysis on a tablet in the treatment room going forward.
Yeah, that's important. That's very important. You can actually show a guest, look, air is clear, air is clean. We're good to go.
You look up at the tablet, you pick the music that you want, you see the temperature, and you see the air quality of the space that you're in. So
yeah.
And choose your essential oils for that air experience as well, and continue disinfecting.
exactly.
Absolutely. A luxury standard is all about customization. So adding those elements is wonderful. Paul Wright mentioned design spas to shower first after check-in. Shampoo, body washes will rid any germ, virus, bacteria.
I agree. I mean, it's going to change the flow some.
And the design.
I mean, the next stop is a locker, and ideally after reception. But perhaps surfaces. We have to look at that and some other things. Some of the systems that David mentioned are important. Crucial to this on the air quality, air purification side. So yeah, it's going to be.
And it's not just yes, Paul's correct, and it's not just the cleanliness and the good hygiene to prevent any virus or for that matter, any virus coming into a space. But on the touch points and the topical part of the human body, that's one thing. But the part that's the variable and the unknown that we can't control, or is the scary unknown, is the breathing, the exhalation, the what someone might bring internally to a space and transfer virally. So, yes, you might not touch anything that person's touched, but the 6 foot space, is that adequate? Is it 12 feet? Do they wear a mask entirely? How are they going to wear a mask during a facial? Esthetician wears a mask. I get it, but so I don't have the answers, but that's a good discussion to sort through. Can we all wear medical grade N95 masks during treatments to make sure that we not only protect our guests, but we protect our staff, our team members, their colleagues got to be. So, there's, as clean, they might come in as clean as they can be and scrub down and have their own individual amenity packets private to them, which is a good idea. But, that doesn't stop them from breathing on somebody sometime over the course of the next 3 hours while they're in for an amazing experience. So.
Those N95 masks will be even more important. PPE for all.
Yeah.
Something that comes to mind to further Paul's point about design. Hello, Paul. I'm going back to our time in Southeast Asia and experiencing Mandarin Oriental and their design, where you have your own treatment room. And in that room is your shower, your bath. You are in that space for that duration of time. It's I believe, going to become a design preference. I don't know. This is the designer, but just from a practitioner standpoint, from a guest perspective, more confident being in our own space for 2 hours rather than a public space. So this may drive design, and it may drive the guest experience where the practitioners come into the guest space for treatments and decrease the traffic in the area. Just a thought.
It's a good model, but one listening probably responds. There's many other models for that are more efficient, depending on the size of the spa.
Right.
But it certainly is. If you're working with only one enclosure, then yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
Or will we revert to giving treatments in guest rooms in hotels? Are we back to that? Bring it to the guest room. And it's that guest space. And please sign this waiver. Don't sue us if you get sick.
But one thought I had on that, which I think will continue to happen, definitely, is having treatments in your guest room. But a part of me yesterday, thinking about this webinar today, I was thinking, so I've gone from one isolation chamber to another one. I'm in a hotel room. I have to have my meals there. I'm having my treatments there. So how do I get out?
If you're able and the weather is opportune, what about outdoor treatments?
Absolutely, yes. Or bubbles. The jungle bubbles. Have you seen those happening in Africa? They're beautiful.
Nature Bouquet actually has a beautiful treatment bubble they use. Could you use hydrogen peroxide in the steam system?
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. And what's the oxygen? Huh. That's
something to look into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Will the steam generator be able to flow the oxygen through without affecting the operating system? That's a redesign maybe, but that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And ozone, right? Ozone steam.
Someone has a
There's a
question.
company that does that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to give you this for everyone on there. There's a company that does the hydrogen peroxide. What's that term called? Oh my gosh. I'll put this up.
Teeth whitening with baking soda.
Let's see, where is it?
Remy Hello.
Yeah. That. Now that's not just ultraviolet treatment, but they have a hydrogen peroxide system that does infusion. I don't know. I'll scan it and send it to you, Stephanie. You can send it to everybody.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll share it with everyone.
Yeah, it was for residential primarily that it was put in the house, and then when we realized the scope of what they were doing, it's like, that's crazy. That should be done in hospitality and commercial grade. They were treating sick building syndrome and office complexes with that methodology. So anyway, it's just something to consider.
Interesting. Nancy had an interesting question. What about disposable slippers over reusable slippers? And also, I've heard that it can travel on shoes and be picked up on the street. So that's a interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one. For what we know now, my understanding is that it can stay on fabric for up to 5 hours. And there's different versions of that, but if anyone correct me, please, if you've heard anything different. So shoes, I think that we have to be careful of. So if you're disposing, then that may be easy, a little easier. But if you're trying to do something a bit more elegant, then it goes back into the linen category that David talked about earlier in the call. That's a whole nother new universe of how you take care of just what you call contaminated linen and how that thing handled from front of house to back of house.
There's also, I saw to complement what Cary was just saying, China adopted some interesting measures that I think we can learn from. I'm sure that there'll be, I have no idea what the cost would be or how you would implement it, but they had mats that you had to step on before you went through the subway systems, and they were shoe sole sterilization mats. So they crafted some kind of surface that was a normal doormat width and length, and then it had some kind of component that you walked over and you had to step on to disinfect the sole of your shoes before you entered into a clean area. So I could see spas, businesses, I could see everyone adopting some version of that at the entryway threshold to their arrival experience. And that when you come in to check in for your services, you step on this threshold mat and it somehow cleans and sterilizes it. It looked like it was pretty simple to do. It didn't seem to be too complicated. So,
what about shoeless spas? What about we take our shoes off when we enter and we don't have any slippers or shoes?
Except if you're passing a foot fungus or something, not ideal.
True.
Yeah.
funky feet are always, a concern,
right?
But love the idea, but I think I'm going back to this idea of this disinfecting portal. So it's talking about what you're walking across and what may be coming out into the air as you're breathing and how it affects your clothing, and it's you're sanitized when you come out the other end. So we don't have that now, to my knowledge. Maybe there are out there something that can be retrofitted and adapted very soon. That would be great. There was an example from which I haven't got some responses back from them. I'm guessing that they're inundated with comments, but from the Trend Hunters that document sent out last week, I was happy to rescind, but there was this hotel in Copenhagen that is the Hotel Ottlia, Ottlia. And so it's where the rooms, they fully disinfect themselves overnight. How they do that, I don't know yet. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that type of system is already in play, and ideally that may be helpful for a lot of the spaces that we plan for wellness and spa.
Okay. So the last bit of this conversation, Raja, this is great. I wanted to cover is how are we going to change our existing treatment rooms? Are we going to be adding antiviral herbal treatments? How are we going to be redesigning our services through all this?
Self-care comes to mind. Self-directed services, I think, would be the first line of possibility. Anywhere in the spa or on property, but Cary, to you, how will the room design change?
Well, I think David's brought up some very good comments already, and resources for how to go about planning those rooms. And I was looking with one of my team yesterday on just looking at examples of more, I'll call it clean room type of designs, and it's not very good right now, and it's it looks very, very clinical and cold, and it doesn't have any of this preponderance of texture that we really know works in spas. Or certainly the association with indoor and outdoor and bringing nature into a space.
So is it too clinical looking? Is that?
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I think that trying to, ideally keeping nature into our spaces. The use of botanicals that was mentioned, great comment, and many others. That there's some sense that when you still come, I guess my hope is when you come into a spa. This is what I've always loved about spas, is that whether it's before you even open the entry doors, the aromas are wafting. You need to say, So once I go through that door, I realize I'm in a special place that and I'm leaving behind everything else that I've just come from. And others can say that better, but that's what I'm hoping that we can still achieve, but still get through this, this new thinking for these are the days of our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, back to treatment rooms or lounges, or really, at least in my bald brain, it takes looking at every space. It's the same kind of list of things that seem to apply in many ways that we have to still think about. Ideally, a lot of this is left up to operations, but I think when it comes to air purifying, air quality, there are fabrics, materials, and finishes that are some existing. They will get better, I believe, that will help with this purifying process, and then the rest is up to humans. And I know that's always scary, but I do have one last thought.
We got this.
Yeah, I do have one last thought, and that is that I brought it up as more of as a giggle in some session at a Green Spa Network some years ago. But the idea was that when it comes to fabrics, and there's some really innovative things that happening in fabrics that that are more vegan, plant-based, coming from recycled sea plastic and other really cool things. So if you had the type of fabrics used for packaging or for operations to carry stuff from one place to another, but it was in essence it had a life cycle to it. So in essence, it disappeared. It disappears in 12 hours, something like that. Or you can just throw it out into the garden, and by the time you turn around and look, it's mostly gone. It is disintegrating.
So you're talking about a paper type of a biodegradable paper?
Paper, not exactly, but
with
maybe
paper.
Yeah, but I'm going to finish this thought. So I think as well that something like the biosuit. So the biosuit is something in spas that humans can wear, and in an hour maybe it disappears. I think that would be interesting. I think it would create more humor in spas that we had things. I don't know. But the idea
He's
is
getting
one
creative.
that I'm not going to think of it, but I like the idea. I think it would be good to decrease waste, cut down living costs.
That's right. So
Mhm.
the spa, is that what you're getting
No,
to?
no,
Okay.
That'll never work.
Thank goodness.
That'll never
Yeah.
work. Wish it would, but it'll never work.
All right, you two are going off the rails over there. David, back to Raj's question. Are you, in designing your spa menus now, thinking about immune boosting treatments, or are you, since we think this is going to be a thing of the future, is that something you're considering?
Yes, as I mentioned, our immune boosting treatments, we've got an extensive IV lab that we've put in. So the IV lab will be a very big complementary part to, again, the nutritional component under the 5 pillars of wellness for Amrit, based on whatever pillar you're focusing on. If you're working with a personal wellness coach and under the personal wellness support system, we may recommend a particular nutritional IV to go appropriate with your package or your service, be it Ayurvedic, be it just purely nutritional from a plant-based, seeking a better dietary component, or if you're in for physical well-being, mental well-being, stress, whatever the case is, anything that falls under mindfulness, nutrition, fitness, relaxation, and sleep. So one of those 5 pillars, everything will be targeted towards that, from a nutritional component on the menus, intravenous therapy offered on the menu that you can accelerate your healing in your package with. But the big one on the immune boost is going to be our nutritional IV offering, again, with the high-dose vitamin C, peptides, glutathiones, and all the Bs and complexes. And we'll have a registered nurse on staff, as well as multiple medical partnerships that are going to be working with us to support doctors that specialize in trichology for, we'll have hair loss and hair replacement offerings. We'll have a head spa with an amazing UMA table at Flora Belmont, just specific treatments that are everything in a good spa goes towards immune boosting, because I think everything is about healing and wellness. So if you're doing a spa service right, you're boosting immunity because you're nurturing the client. So everything on our menu will go that direction some way or another. All of us should.
Well, and that's a perfect segue into what the future spa is. One-stop shop. Your doctor, your nurse, check your blood, check your body's overall health, blood chemistry, have your massage, your facial, where we're seeing what we've anticipated coming forward.
That's what Amrit is. That's what we have. It's full partnership with, integrative wellness, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine. It's ancient medicine, ancient science meets modern technology.
Yes.
There's 4 different floors to the Amrit Wellness Center, and 3 treatment rooms specifically, or 1 level of 1 floor is entirely dedicated to our medical partnerships with specific cardiologists, nutritionists, behavioral therapists, stress reduction, clinical psychologists, oncologist, internist, the doctor that works specifically with us. Hopefully, we're locking everybody in now, but we have amazing wellness professionals, anti-aging. I hate to say that, but you get to, everybody wants to live longer and healthier and happier, and that's the ultimate goal. So the medical professionals that we partner with are going that direction. So if you get on our wellness series that we have on the website 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week, recently we've been offering complimentary wellness sessions. We've had some of these doctors and medical professionals speak and offer complimentary live sessions. So get on that schedule and you'll see some of the amazing ones we partner with.
Wonderful. And that's so important, the give back. What are we able to offer now and in the future where people don't have to pay?
Yeah.
But
free to everyone, anybody, log on. Exactly.
That's amazing. Okay, y'all. Final future positive thoughts to send out to everybody.
Woo! I'll start. We've got this, everybody. We have got this, and we're in it together. We are, if there was ever a box, it's not there anymore. The box is broken, and broken in a good way. It's as if a new reality is breaking through, and I remain, again, with so many colleagues and forward-thinking, future-thinking people, scientists, researchers. Thank you to all the people on the front lines that are there as we move through to the new normal, the new reality, and a new way of living and being conscious. So this is absolutely shaking up the normal and moving us into more of a conscious existence, again, with a focus on wellness, food security, economic success for all of us, but how much do we really need? No to the greed. And the environment, so that we come together in this and live more simply, and be part of your community.
Just love.
Be kind and don't stink.
Get your biohazard suit.
That's right.
Pre-register now.
One size fits all.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I thank y'all so much. This was great. I think we beat the technology this week, and I did share a link for Kim's webinar tomorrow, which is planet-based healing. Kim, do you want to just mention briefly who's joining you for that?
Yes, professor and scientist, Dr. Michael Holacek from right here in Montana. However, he is working nationally and internationally, designing. Oh, this is Luna. She wants to say hello. This is our cat. Michael Holacek is part of Food Energy Systems. And as we referenced briefly, it's amazing technology. It's the future of creating food, creating energy, using the waste from the food matter to create energy to, operate the food system. It's the integration of solar, water purification, good plant-based eating, herbs, botany. It's just amazing. I'm rambling. Join us tomorrow as Say That channel. Stephanie, thank you for hosting us. And
thank you all so much. Loved it. Big love to you all. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.